Yo, what is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. As today, we're going to be taking a look at this 2023 Detroit Lions draft, which had some pretty shocking picks, but also some insane players. I don't really think there was a pick, or a player, I should say, that I was disappointed in or mad about or anything. I think Brad Holmes once again did his thing, and Brad Holmes cooked. I think we can all agree there. So this video is just going to go over all the picks. We're going to watch some highlights. We're also going to just kind of talk about what picks, we're obviously going to give out some grades and stuff like that. I'm going to give out my grades. I'm going to talk you guys through what I think about every pick and why this was an amazing draft, whether you liked the picks or not, because every single player that was taken was a great pick. And I'll explain everything on why these were all great picks, because they were all great picks. Do not worry. They were all amazing. They were all great. So let's start out with the first pick for the Detroit Lions at pick 12, Jahmyr Gibbs, running back from Alabama. So I know this is probably the number one pick that was taken that people were so just confused and upset about. Me personally, when I saw the pick come in, I immediately thought Christian Gonzalez, or I think it was either him or like Kalijah Kancey or something like that. I thought that's where we were going to go. So when I saw Jahmyr Gibbs, I just got out of my chair because I was so excited, because this is my favorite player in the draft. If you guys did not know, this is easily my favorite player. He's so just an electrifying runner. He's so good in the receiving game. But then I was kind of like, what the hell? Why did we just take a running back at pick 12 when he's like projected to go like early second round, late first round? So I was super confused on why we even took Gibbs. So I'm going to explain to you guys right now why this is an amazing pick. So for starters, Brad Holmes came out and said after the pick that there were teams that called him, basically saying that they were trying to trade up and get Jahmyr Gibbs, meaning that people who thought, oh, we could get him at 18, we could get him at 34, he was going to be gone by pick 17. I think the Patriots could have taken him. I think that more than likely Brad Holmes got called saying that there were teams trying to trade up and get him, meaning that he probably wouldn't have even been there at 18. So, but now I'm sure you guys are wondering, like, well, why did we even take running back? I mean, well, you don't take running backs in the first round. It's just, he's not even like the best running. Jahmyr Gibbs is not just a running back, ladies and gentlemen. This guy is honestly almost more of a receiver than he is a running back. He's a hybrid is what you call it. So that's what excites me so much, is that we're going to use this guy so much in the pass game, meaning that we're going to have David Montgomery on the field as a running back. And then we're also going to have Jahmyr Gibbs going out for screen passes, slants, going out in the passing game. You're going to have Jameson Williams when he's not suspended. You're going to have Monroe St. Brown, Josh Reynolds, Marvin Jones Jr. You're going to have all these guys out on the field at the same time, which to me is that's just like insane. I mean, having Jahmyr Gibbs and Jameson Williams on the field at the same time, that's like unstoppable. So imagine the Detroit Lions took a wide receiver at pick 12 rather than a running back, because he's going to play a lot more wide receiver than, I mean, he's not going to be like an actual wide receiver, but he's going to play a lot of wide receiver for us, He's going to receive the ball a lot. So imagine us taking a wide receiver at 12 instead of a running back, and you guys would probably be a lot like, okay, that's better. But at the same time, this guy's going to be doing both, so I'm super excited. Let's look at the second pick, which was pick 18, where we took Jack Campbell, which was a pretty big shocker as well to me. I was not expecting to take a linebacker first round. And I was immediately, the second that this pick came in, I was like, what are we doing? Because I was happy with the Jahmyr Gibbs pick. I was also kind of pissed that we didn't get Christian Gonzalez or someone like that. And I was, I didn't, really realize that Jahmyr Gibbs would have been gone by 18. I didn't realize that Jahmyr Gibbs is more than just a running back, and he's actually an insane player. But then, so when I saw Jack Campbell come in, I was like, are you kidding me? What are we doing? Because Jack Campbell, he's pretty slow. He's not the kind of linebacker that we need. We needed an outside linebacker that can, guard up on the tight ends and the running backs. That's why I wanted like a Trenton Simpson or Deion Henley, someone like that. But after, sitting on it for a couple of days, and you kind of like read up on it and you look at it, Jack Campbell, he tested way better at the combine than people thought he would. He was linebacker of the year, which if you look at all that, I forget what the award's called, but if you look at all those linebacker of the year awards, every single one of them have turned out to at least be all-pro in their careers or a Hall of Famer. I think there might have been one or two throughout, history, where I don't know how long the award's been out, but recently all linebackers that win that award ended up being all-pros or Hall of Fame or just, Pro Bowl linebackers. So that makes you feel a lot better, because, if we're drafting a future Pro Bowler, then that makes me pretty happy. And you also got to remember, this guy's going to be the linebacker of our future. So even though we have guys like Anzalone and Rodriguez, this guy's still going to probably immediately be our best linebacker. He's going to come in and he's going to start for us probably, and he's going to end up being a 100 tackle a year kind of a guy. I think he led the nation in tackles this year from what I heard in college. So definitely, I mean, the more you think about it and the more you look at Jack Campbell and what he's going to do for this team, he's going to be our future stud linebacker for the next 10 years. He's going to be always hardworking, always just out there giving it his all. So when you really look at it, I mean, this was not a horrible pick at all. And, when I first, I was like, oh, why did we take this guy? I don't want this guy as a linebacker. I wanted a outside linebacker. And then, but then when you really look at it, it really wasn't a terrible pick at all. I don't think picking him at 18 was the smartest, but at the same time, you never know when they're going to be gone. And if you're Brad Holmes and there's a guy you want, you're going to take him whenever. It doesn't matter where they're projected to go. All those stupid projections are so dumb. When you look at them, like, it's all stupid. They're all just stupid. And so for them to go and get him at 18, I'm fine with that. He was their guy. And I'm pretty happy with it now, looking at it. So I got no issue with it. If I were to give this pick a grade and the Jahmyr Gibbs pick a grade, I'd probably give the Gibbs pick a B+, especially with Swift being gone. You got to remember that Swift's gone now, so we do need a running back. So with Swift gone, I'll give that a B+. I'll give this pick probably a B for now, just because I think we could have gone some other directions, but I'll give it a B as of now. Let's look at our third pick, which was Sam LaPorta at pick 34, another Iowa guy, who I saw this pick and I was like, why are we taking a tight end that's like not even, Michael Mayer was out there still, Darnell Washington was out there still. And I'll be honest, at the time, I didn't really know much about this guy. I just knew that he wasn't super fast or, an insane, tight end. But as I read up more about him and, watched him and who he is, this guy is an insane receiving tight end. I mean, he is probably the most agile tight end I've seen throughout my years, especially in college. He's a tackle breaker. Yeah, I think he led the nation in tackles broken for tight ends. He had the most receiving yards on Iowa. He only had one receiving touchdown, which people are probably going to look at that and be like, oh, he only had one touchdown. Touchdowns really don't matter as long as, you're making plays for your team and getting first downs, and that's all we really need from our tight ends. We don't need them to be getting in the end zone. We have a run game for that, and we also have wide receivers. So if he only gets a touchdown or two, it doesn't matter. As long as he's making plays like he did for Iowa, it's all that matters to me. So you watch him play, I mean, you can look at him. He's so shifty, and he's got great balance, got great awareness. He knows how to catch the football and he's really good at getting open. His route running's amazing. Blocking, he's not the best at, but if you were to look at all the tight ends, he'd probably be in the top 3 for blocking, to be honest with you, because I know Michael Mayer's not a great blocker. Dalton Kincaid, I think, is pretty good, but he'd probably be close to the top 3. I'd say probably maybe even in the top 3 for blocking tight ends. So the way I look at it is we're going to have this guy probably for the receiving end of it. Him and James Mitchell will probably split reps there, and then Brock Wright will be more of just the blocker. This guy will probably go in for blocking a lot too because he's big and he can do it. So those 3 will probably be splitting a ton of reps, which I'm okay with, because now we have our tight end for the future. He's a second-round pick. You're not gonna have to pay him as much as what you would have Hawkinson. So if this guy ends up panning out, I could easily see us re-signing him down the future, and I could see him being our future tight end for this team. And you can see right here, this is the clip I wanted to include because you can see how insane this guy is at running. I mean, he broke like 8 tackles there. So that's insane. And now for maybe the steal of the draft, Brian Branch, the safety from Alabama, a 3-year starter. He started as a freshman, and he was a team captain this year. And when you take an Alabama guy that was a team captain and started his freshman year, all 3 years throughout his college career, they're going to be good. You just know it. So if I'm gonna go ahead and give a grade out right now, A+. A+ pick. Sam LaPorta, I forgot to give him a grade. I'll give that a B because I think there was other directions we could have gone. Not necessarily like a Michael Mayer or Darnell Washington, because Darnell Washington, in my opinion, is more of a project and a potential pick, and Michael Mayer is more proven, but not really what we're looking for necessarily, and not just not really the type of guy that we need. Not the type of guy we need. So that I'd probably give a B because I think we could have gone maybe like corner or something else at 34. But I think it'll end up panning out and being a lot better than that too. But for now, I'll give it a B. Looking at Brian Branch, this is an A+ pick. The fact this guy fell to 45 is insane. And I'll tell you guys this right now. I saw a post on Instagram that said, or no, it was on Twitter. It said, if the Detroit Lions would have taken Brian Branch at pick 12, Jahmyr Gibbs at 18, Jack Campbell at 34, and then Sam LaPorta at 45, we'd probably be given A and A- by everyone. Like, when you think about it, you're kind of like, oh, yeah, true, because Brian Branch expected to be, a top 18, 20 pick. Jahmyr Gibbs expected to go late first round. Jack Campbell's expected to be an early second round. And Sam LaPorta was supposed to go mid to late second round. So when you look at it like that, you got all these players just in different spots, because Brad Holmes went by who he wanted the most first. He had his list. So he took the guys that were at the top right away, which I'm fine with because you got the guys you wanted, right? You got the guys you wanted and needed. And then you took the other guys out there as well, like Brian Branch, I'm sure was on there because he's a beast. Sam LaPorta obviously was on there. So, so I'm very happy with this pick right here. So if you don't think that's the steal of the draft, then this probably is. Hendon Hooker in the third round. He was actually being projected in the late first round of most mock drafts that I've seen towards the end of the mock draft era this year. So Hendon Hooker, if you want to look at statistically who the best quarterback was this year, you'd probably look at Hendon Hooker because this guy was number one for Heisman until he got injured. He led Tennessee to the number one spot in the country, and they would have been in the playoffs if Hendon Hooker would have never gone down with an ACL injury. So to get this guy in the third round, it's like, oh my goodness. I'm going to go ahead and say it, A+ pick again. I was so psyched that we got, because I was like really hoping we'd get this guy too, because I really wanted him at I was like, okay, get him at 34, get him at 48, or we ended up being like 45. I would have been fine with him there. The fact that we got this guy in the third round is like, wow. So first of all, you look at the college stats are there, the film is all there, the highlights are there. You look at the body size and the measurables, just the body, he's not small like Bryce Young, but he's also proven in college. So he's not only got the potential with like the body and the measurables, but he's got the stats, he's got the film. So in my opinion, this guy never goes down with an injury. I know he's 25. He'd probably be a top 8 pick when you look at it. I mean, I don't care about the whole age thing. I know some people are skeptical with that, which I think is just stupid. I mean, who cares about how old he is? Most NFL players, at least at quarterbacks, they'll hit 36 years old before once they hit 36, they'll kind of start to fizzle out and not be as good as what they were. They'll kind of exit their prime years. Hendon Hooker's got 10 years left of his prime years where he can be a starter in the NFL. So I'm not worried about the age thing. So if Goff stays another 2 years, Hooker would be about 27 by then. Hooker's got 8 years. 8 years to be a starting quarterback for the Detroit Lions. And guess what? If he doesn't end up being a starter for this team, let's say he ends up not being all that great. Guess what? He was a third-round pick. It's no big deal. This guy's going to be at least as his floor, a serviceable backup in the NFL. I mean, we're talking like Teddy Bridgewater, like it's his floor right now. So, and if you disagree with that, I'm fine with that. But his floor to me is like Teddy Bridgewater right now. His ceiling, I'd put his ceiling all the way up at like a Jalen Hurts level just because of what he did in college. You saw what he could do given the right system. You look at the receivers the Lions have. I mean, he's got everything. So I'm excited. Now we got Broderick Martin out of Western Kentucky. So there's not really any film or highlights for this guy. So I'll just talk about him for a minute. The Lions actually traded up. They didn't have any day 2 picks left because I remember turning the TV off. I was like, all right, well, now we just get onto the 5th, 6th, 7th round picks in the 4th round picks too. And so I was kind of like, all right, well, time to wait. And then all of a sudden I checked my phone and I saw the Lions drafted this guy. I was like, whoa, who is this guy? So he's like the 24th ranked defensive lineman. I was kind of like, okay, Western Kentucky, like what is this? The Lions actually traded up to get this guy, meaning that there's something that Brad Holmes sees in this guy, because why else would you trade up to get a guy who's projected to be like a 7th round pick? Why would you trade up into the 3rd round to get him? So there's something that Brad Holmes knows about this guy that I think no one else does. So I'm really hoping that ends up, working out in the long run, because personally that excites me, knowing Brad Holmes is like excited, wanting to get this guy, trade up and get him. That excites me. So I know there was other D linemen available, like Siaka Ika from Baylor, I think was still out there, but I'm fine. I'm going to give this an A- because Brad Holmes obviously knows something about this guy and likes him, so I'm fine with it. I'll give it an A-. Now we'll move on to the 5th round, where we got Colby Sorsdal, I think is how you say his last name, from William and Mary's University, which is a Division II, I believe. It's a FBS school. So kind of okay, not really sure who this guy is. There's not really any film or anything out there of him that I've been able to find. I'm sure you could find it somewhere, but this is a 5th round pick, and when I look at this guy, I see a lot of potential. He's got the size. From what I've heard, he was a 5-year starter at William & Mary, so that's pretty impressive. He was an All-American this year. Definitely got the size and the capability to play Division I. So I just don't think he ever ended up transferring, and he had a big year this year. So definitely kind of just a potential pick, I'd say. I think Brad Holmes, watched this guy and knew something about him. So he's like, you know what, we're gonna give him a chance. And more than likely he's just gonna end up having like a Evan Brown role from last year, which I'm perfectly fine with. A backup who can come in and start when you need him to. And I could see this guy starting in the future, I should say. So I'm perfectly fine with this pick. I've got nothing bad to say about it. I'll give it a B+. I do like it, so yeah. And now we'll move on to our final pick, which was Antoine Green from North Carolina. And I mean, in my opinion, this was a big steal. This guy ended up getting hurt. I think it was this year. He ended up missing a few games. That's why his stats are kind of, nothing too insane. But he also has Josh Downs on his team as well, who ended up, I think, being a 2nd or 3rd round pick. So looking at Antoine Green, I watch him. He looks like a vertical threat. He looks like a guy who can run downfield like that and make big-time plays. He's super fast. He's an amazing catcher. He's just an all-around good receiver, that kind of fell down the draft boards due to injury and stuff like that. So to get him in the 7th round, I love it. He's from UNC, too. I love that school. Love their colors. They've always had some good players coming out of there. I love Josh Downs, too. Obviously not really the type of player that we need, but Antoine Green, I was super happy with this pick. I didn't really know who he was until I kind of, researched him. And, just from watching him, you can see that this guy really shouldn't have been a 7th round pick. He probably should have been gone by the 5th round. Definitely going to end up being a steal, I think. I think he'll get some play time for the Detroit Lions, even being a 7th round pick. I think, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, I think this is going to be another one of those Brad Holmes kind of like steals that, like a Malcolm Rodriguez, James Houston. I think he's going to end up being like that. Not saying he's going to start, this year or next year or anytime, but I think we got a steal from getting this guy in the 7th round. So we'll see what he can do this year. I'm sure he'll play here and there, but yeah, if I'm going to grade this pick, I'll go ahead and I'll give it an A. This is an A pick. I think wide receiver was the right way to go right here. We definitely needed, an extra with losing Quintez Cephas. Jameson Williams is going to be out a few games. So I got nothing bad to say about this pick right here. This is an A in my opinion. And like I said, he only has 7 touchdowns this year, but that has nothing to do with him. It's more due to injury, and he's also got Josh Downs playing alongside of him. So, but he was UNC's 2nd best receiver this year, aside from the injury. So totally a ton of potential in this guy. I could see him making an impact on this team. I really do. He's got great speed, like I said, great hands, great route running. He's able to get open all the time, and you can see he's like always open. So definitely a solid pick there. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for the draft. That is it for the draft, I should say. That's all the picks, all 8 of them. So if I'm gonna give this draft a grade overall, I'll probably give it. For now, I'm gonna give it a B+. I would say A-, but you know what? No, I'll give it an A- just because of the Hendon Hooker and the Brian Branch picks. Those 2 picks right there are gonna boost this thing up to an A-. Because there was no picks below a B for me. I think all picks were at least at a B. There's a B+ for Gibbs, and then A+, A-. So yeah, I'll give this draft an A-. I'll give it about probably like a low A- from Brad Holmes. Obviously, I'm probably gonna have to give this another grade down the road when we actually see what these rookies can do. So obviously, just looking at it right now, I'll give it an A-. I'll give it an A- for now. We'll see what it looks like down the road. So yeah, I hope you guys liked all the picks. Let me know which ones you really liked, maybe some that you weren't so happy about, maybe some that have grown on you or looking forward to. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.